to left field. There it goes. There goes Dean. He slides in. He's safe. Well, tonight from inside Safeco Field, we've got the middle game of this three-game series, the Mariners and the Houston Astros. Game one going last night to the Mariners in an absolute thriller. What a pitching matchup we had last night, and another fine one here tonight for game two as the Mariners have a chance for a series win against the first place Astros. Happy you can be with us for Mariners baseball on Root Sports. Aaron Goldsmith alongside Mike Flowers and our entire Root Sports crew as we look at the lineup for A.J. Hinch of the Astros tonight.
Pretty good lineup. Houston fourth in the American League in runs scored. George Springer going to lead things off. 18 home runs on the year for Springer. Alex Bregman hitting third in the lineup, was second yesterday, hitting third today. 22 home runs, 71 RBIs for the shortstop. Tony Kemp will round out the 9 for Houston. Mike Leake again has pitched well over his last couple of outings. 8-6 record, a 4.15 ERA in 128 innings. He has 77 strikeouts. Opponents hitting 273 against Mike. And a look at the defense. Guillermo Heredia played last night, but back in center field. Andrew Romine, his second start over at third base, and Chris Herman will do the catching.
I referenced it earlier. Last time out for Leake was fantastic.
6 in the third, just 2 earned runs. Didn't walk anybody. That'll be a key for him in this evening's ball game. 78 pitches for Mike, 57 strikes.
That's going to be a tough act to follow in terms of just overall entertainment of a ball game. Last night, Mike, was a ton of fun.
Well, just 2 of the premier power pitchers, and both of them were on their game last night. I thought it was a terrific ball game all the way around. Paxton coming off the disabled list. He was terrific, going 7 innings, not allowing a run. The offense, Nelson Cruz, as you mentioned earlier, driving in a couple of runs, and that's all it was that they needed. Of course, Colomé and Diaz at the end of the bullpen, they have pitched really well over the last month.
How about Edwin Diaz? The second fastest ever to 40 saves. And by the way, as we see James Paxton here, James was, of course, asked about the new facial hair program. And this apparently, Mike, was encouraged by his lovely wife, Katie.
That's what I heard.
Who was a hairstylist, so if anyone would know, it would be her. You can see the final line last night for James as we are underway.
As you look at that final line, the mustache will stay.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
Springer leading things off as usual. 18 home runs, plenty of power there. League quickly ahead 0-2. Now, Springer was not too pleased at times with the strike zone last night. Paxton elevating some fastballs right at the top of the zone. Strike 3 call. 3 pitches, all strikes is how we begin things.
Andy wasn't happy about this call. 2-seam fastball. Chris Herman going to frame it. Primera Supermo. He didn't like it. QC Tracer headed just off the plate.
In steps Reddick.
Josh Reddick did not start last night. Came into the game as a pinch hitter.
Oh, 2. D. Gordon keeps his feet, hands off to Healy. 2 outs.
Amazing how different this lineup is without Correa and Altuve in it. Something that we are used to seeing, probably more than most. Both of them on the disabled list.
Well, you can look at it pretty simply. That man, since the Astros joined the American League West in 2013, has more hits against the Mariners than any other hitter in the game. Now, the Mariners probably aren't the only team that are saying that same thing. A knee injury for Altuve, a back injury for Correa, who's been out for some time now. First pitch that has missed this inning. 1-1.
Missed with a slider.
Meanwhile, for the Astros, talk about them being shorthanded. They've lost 5 in a row. This is their longest losing streak of the season.
We mentioned a couple of the players on the disabled list. You can see Bregman, who's been one of their better hitters. He has struggled over the last 5 games.
Also without Brian McCann, they'll be out without him until almost, it sounds like, the final month of the season.
Their starting catcher.
Now, Bregman was the big strikeout by Colomate to end the 8th last night. A lengthy battle. Pops this back and foul. Bregman pacing the Astros with 22 home runs, and because of that, in large part, was a participant in the home run derby this year. Another 2-2 from Lee. An appeal. He goes. Side retired in order. A couple of strikeouts for Mike Leake in a 1-2-3 first. Moments ago, Charlie Morton and the Astros taking the field as we get set for the bottom of the first. Mike Leake carving through the Astros at the top half. Our Jack-in-the-Box Mariners starting lineup.
P. Gordon going to lead things off tonight. 25 stolen bases. That leads the American League. Nelson Cruz, the DH, a cleanup hitter, drove in the only 2 runs of the ball game last night. 63 RBIs for Nelson. Andrew Romine rounds out the 9 for the Mariners.
First pitch fastball for Morton.
See 96 miles an hour with his fastball, primarily fastball, curveball, occasional cutter and changeup from Morton.
Well, on back-to-back nights, the Mariners facing all-star starting pitchers this year. Morton, an all-star this year for the first time in his career. He's pitching in his 11th major league season. It's kind of interesting too, Mike. 2 guys in Garrett Cole last night and Morton tonight coming over from National League teams, and they have essentially in some ways reinvented themselves in an Astros uniform. The velocity is up immensely for Charlie Morton, and that curveball has been at times just unhittable.
Yeah, you're right about that. And with Cole, I think the biggest adjustment that he made was to use his breaking ball a little bit more to set up the good fastball. So Garrett Cole right there last night topping out at 100 miles an hour.
Out to right field, but right in line with Reddick in the sun. 1 out.
Charlie Morton, 11-2 record, a 2.89 ERA, 151 strikeouts and 118 and third innings. A lot of strikeouts for him. Opponents hitting just 205. He has given up 12 home runs this year. He also walked 49 batters, so he's a little bit wild at times. Mariners faced him back in April. ended up getting the win, going 7 innings, just 3 hits, and not allow a run.
One out here is Gene Segura. When you think about Garrett Cole last night, Mike, you talk about truly no-hit stuff.
Yes.
We've seen it this year, obviously, with James Paxton. We saw it last night for 5+ innings from Garrett Cole, and the fact that the Mariners had a 2-0 win last night and have a chance for a series win tonight or tomorrow. Right back off Morton. He hangs with it and gets the out. See how he's doing.
Well, it was Gene Segura last night to get things started with an infield base hit, and he tried to pick up a base hit, going right back up the middle again, but unfortunately, when he hit Charlie Morton, he appears to be okay. He's able to go and make the play on Gene. If it were to get past him from Era Supermo, it's been a base hit, maybe a piece of the elbow, mostly in his side. Trainer AJ Hinch, the manager, laughing about it, so I think he's going to be okay.
Take a warm-up toss or two. All it takes is one as we look at the defense behind Charlie Morton.
So Josh Reddick out in right field again. He did not start, but in right field today. Bregman and Gonzalez playing up the middle. Correa, Altuve on the disabled list. And former Angel Martin Maldonado will do the catching.
Only his second game in an Astros uniform. Quickly 2 outs. In steps Denard Span. Cracked into center field. The Mariners have a 2-out base hit from Span.
It's past him.
It's past Springer in center, and Span will make the turn. Throw comes in from Reddick. He tiptoes into third base. A 2-out triple for Denard Span.
Last day of the road trip, Scott Service moved him up to hitting third. So this is his 3rd game in a row batting third. And it's worked out well for him and the Mariners. Solid line drive. Springer just trying to keep him from going to the warning track to hold him to a double. It'll be a triple for Span, who also scored from first base last night when Nelson Cruz was hitting.
RBI chance with 2 outs for Nelson Cruz. He drove in the only 2 runs of last night's game. Back to the triple. The after effects of it.
Yeah, maybe the shoulder as he tried to dive for the ball. I'm sure AJ Hinch does not want to see that right now.
We already talked about how banged up they are. Now there is the hook. Good news for the Mariners early on. First inning in Oakland. Blue Jays leading the A's. Oakland 2 games behind the Mariners. 5 games outside of first. Doubles up on the curveball, and Nelson Cruz strikes out following the 2-out triple from Span. We go to the second. Ball game. They are in town for the Brady Kelsey wedding this weekend. That should make for a good hashtag on Instagram. As we move to the second, we are scoreless. Mariners stranding triple by Denard Span. As Mike Leake threw almost nothing but strikes in that first. Pours over a first pitch strike to Gurriel.
Larry, as we were going to commercial, we were watching George Springer running off the field, and it looked as if he was having an issue with that shoulder.
Just foul. He could not even move his arm really when he was running to the dugout.
Exactly. A.J. Hinch, the manager.
A struggle recently for Gurriel. Soft fly ball, foul ground. Healy makes the catch. 1 out. I hope you can join us at Safeco Field this Thursday as the Mariners host our neighbors to the north, the Blue Jays, for a 4-game weekend series. Get seats while they last by heading to Mariners.com. Mariners baseball, true to the blue.
Mike Leake has a reputation of working quickly, throwing a lot of strikes. 15 pitches, 13 strikes for Mike. So off to a good start.
The DH Gaddis. Hard hit right to Romine. Out number 2. Today has been a frantic day around baseball. Kinsler being acquired late last night. Of course, Roberto Osuna coming from the Blue Jays to the Astros. Brian Dozier going to Los Angeles, second baseman for the Twins. Jonathan Scope having a tough year for the Orioles, but now with Milwaukee. Wilson Ramos, an all-star catcher for the Rays, now in the National League with the Phillies. And Chris Archer, who still has years left on his very team-friendly contract, moving to the National League to pitch for the Pirates.
Well, with Archer, that was a bit of a strange deal. When you look at it, the Pirates just 3.5 back in the wild card. And you mentioned that they were going to have control of Archer for a while. And although he was not off to a very good start at all this year and not pitching particularly well, his stuff is still really good. And probably was making that deal for him.
It's funny when you think about Archer. The Padres were a team that were rumored to have strong interest in Archer, and many of the front office executives from the baseball ops side of things for the Padres were in Cooperstown to be part of the Hall of Fame inductions, to be on hand for that. As Gonzalez swings away, foul, and they decided to simply set up camp and stay in Cooperstown and do all of their deadline day deals from the tiny town of Cooperstown, as opposed to, of course, getting on a plane and going all the way back to San Diego. Trevor Hoffman, the now Hall of Fame closer for the Padres, the reason why they were there. Leaks 1-2. Another funny thing about the Pirates is, of course, they traded away Andrew McCutchen at the start of this season. There was thought of the rebuild. I don't think at that point when McCutchen was dealt that there would be any thought that they would be making a move for potentially a frontline starter at the deadline.
That was also because of Marte trying to get him into center field. And, talented outfield with Polanco.
Another foul ball over by first.
A couple of change-ups from Mike. I thought it was interesting, all the deals that were made and how busy it was, especially yesterday and today. Just never know from year to year, do you?
No.
Some years you anticipate a lot happening and very little will.
This is clubbed down the line and foul. Well, then how about the biggest news of the deadline that ended up not being any news at all ultimately, and that is that Bryce Harper was possibly available for teams. as the Nationals.
That seemed unlikely because it was so late.
So to work out a deal of that magnitude with that little amount of time left.
Right.
But you never know. Romine over for Peak, another foul ball.
This will be the 8th pitch of this at bat. Mike throwing a lot of strikes, 23 pitches, 20 strikes.
Well, new man of the Mariners organization, Zach Duke on the left, alongside Pazos. Swing and a miss for strike 3. He gets Gonzalez. 6 up, 6 down for Mike Leake with 3 strikeouts along the way. Mike and Springer, you could have felt the time really shaken up. He's now out of the ballgame.
Well, you can see him toss his glove right there, grimace, and there starting to move the shoulder around. And when he came off the field, he could barely lift his arm. You can see him trying to run, and he is now out of the ballgame.
So Kyle Tucker is now in left field for the Astros. Tony Kemp has moved from left to center. First pitch in play. Bregman's throw to first base in enough time to get Haniger at number 1.
For Charlie Morton, he topped out at 98 miles an hour in the first inning. Picked up the 1 strikeout.
StatCast AI powered by AWS. We see how they line up here for Chris Herman, the Mariners catcher tonight. As Bregman starts to scoot over on the right side.
Mariners with a day game tomorrow, so I'm sure Mike Zunino back in the lineup tomorrow.
Wade LeBlanc will get the start for the Mariners tomorrow night.
A lot like last night, Aaron, with Morton on the mound. I think you have to decide as a hitter, are you going to be patient, knowing that he can get a little wild at times, get a good count, or do you want to be more aggressive? Might help out his pitch count a little bit. The one thing that you don't want to see happen is falling behind in counts, which is difficult with the stuff that he has.
Two.
On the year, 118 in the 3rd innings, 151 strikeouts.
Now this is the highest strikeout rate of his career, and it was awfully good last year. Even better this season. I mean, he's approaching a career high in strikeouts already. And he picks up his 2nd tonight, facing Chris Herman.
See a lot of that when he's ahead. The good fastball, top of the zone. where Garrett Cole was pitching last night. Same with James Paxton. Power arm.
2 up, 2 down for Ryan Healy,
which I think will make tomorrow interesting. Look at the Mariners, and they're going to go with Wade LeBlanc and Dallas Keuchel. A couple of left-handers, pretty good changeups tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Be a little different style in tomorrow's game.
Strike 1 at 97.
Ryan had one of the few hits in last night's game. Base hit right back up the middle.
They have the shift on for him here. Now, Mike, you were talking about Charlie Morton when he gets ahead. Look at these numbers.
Yep, that's what you try to avoid as a hitter. But when he's behind, he will throw you a fastball to hit. That's a big difference.
One and two.
And that is the curveball that you really just don't want to deal with at all. A curveball at 80 miles an hour, and opponents hitting 121. This curveball really difficult for right-handed hitters.
Two balls and 2 strikes on Healy. We are on the air tomorrow at 12:30 for our 1:10 first pitch. They keep the shift on. And on the hands, he gets him with the hook. Third strikeout. A couple of scoreless frames for Charlie Morton. We go to the third. Seattle Mariners baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Safeco Insurance. Find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. And by Steel. To find your local Steel dealer, visit steeldealers.com. Good night to be paddleboarding as we start things off here in the top of the third. Mike Leake pumping strikes, and strike number 1 to Tyler White as we welcome the Mariners Hall of Famer inside the booth. Dan the Man Wilson, it's good to have you.
Thanks, Aaron. Great to be here. Mike, always good to see you.
Dan, nice job paddleboarding first couple of innings. Good to have you over here on the TV side.
Well, 2 pitches and 1 out. Dan, last night we had a just tremendous pitching performance on both sides, and tonight is looking pretty good as well.
Yeah, I tell you what, Mike Leake really just dominated the strike zone. I thought we were talking about it on the radio side prior to coming over here, and just location was going to be a key for him, and obviously his location's been outstanding early on here, and he's attacked the strike zone. Love the tempo that he works, just gets the ball, is ready to go, and You know, 26 pitches, 23 strikes. That's an outstanding percentage, and just seems to be throwing the ball very well. And then Morton, on the other hand, continuing to do what he's done all season for the Houston Astros, and he's a tough customer as well. So it's going to be another tight ball game tonight, and this is the type of baseball I think we're going to see against the Astros quite a bit. They've got the good pitching, and down the stretch here, it's going to be some tight ball games.
I think it'll be interesting to watch. Dan, you mentioned Mike throwing all these strikes and really mixing it up. Has a pretty good cutter and a slider tonight. Two-seamer. I really like his two-seamer so far, pitching into the righties. But when you're throwing this many strikes, he puts you in swing mode, and he may be able to get really deep into this ball game because of it.
Yeah, I think you're going to see the Houston Astros are going to have to adjust to him and start swinging early. And he's got such a great. He's the 4th best ground ball rate in the league, so he's the type of guy that's going to get his outs, and if he's got some good defense behind him like he does, he's going to get some outs and quick ones and get himself deep into a ball game.
I don't know how much you were able to see last night, but what a ball game that was. And I thought Paxton was just terrific last night.
Yes, he was, you know, outstanding, and you know, again, I think it was a great move. I think that to give him that extra day, extra start on the DL, to get himself,
to skip him one more time.
Yeah, to get himself rested and get him to a point where he was feeling good, because you could see the difference when he went out there last night, and just was able to go out there and execute right away. And again, the type of game that he's going to be in a lot here down the last 2 months of the season, and he really delivered for the Mariners.
Yeah, I think it'll be really important, one, that he stays healthy the rest of the way, but also to be dominating like he was last night. He's that guy in this rotation. And I like what he said too. To your point, he said that he thought he could go, but he was happy that he was skipped another turn. Just so they could get in the ball game last night, in his words, so he just let it rip, and he did last night, topping out at 98 miles an hour.
Yeah, and you know too, as a player, Mike, when you've got something that's nagging or something that you're worried about injury-wise, it takes things away from you mentally a little bit, and you're not able to just go out and play. And I think to see Pax be able to just go out last night and execute and pitch was huge for him, and you got to have that against a team like Houston.
Two outs, nobody aboard, and an 0-2 count to Kemp. In a right field, and the first hit of the ball game for the Astros comes from their number 9 hitter. We're talking about last night. How about last night? Improving to 41-17 in games decided by 2 runs or fewer. That's the highest win percentage of the majors. And then, of course, Edwin Diaz, not only did he pick up his 40th save before August rolls around, the 2nd fastest to reach that mark in Major League history. And James Paxton setting a milestone, a single season career best, 163 strikeouts. So congrats to a couple of guys. There is Kyle Tucker, his first at bat, taking over for George Springer, who injured himself diving after a triple that got past him off the bat at Denard Span.
Only 42 at bats on the year for Tucker. See the 34 pitches for Mike, 30 strikes. First pitch strike to 9 out of the 10 batters, so working ahead.
You can see the age for Kyle Tucker, 21 years old. He is the youngest active player in the American League right now. Made his big league debut just after July the 4th this year. The 0-1 inside. It'll be interesting to see, by the way, guys, after the game, if there's any kind of update long term on Springer, what exactly this is, what the timetable might be. We might not know that until tomorrow, but this could be a massive loss for the Astros.
And yes, their leadoff hitter, 18 home runs, playing center field. So think about their team. They lose their catcher, their shortstop, second baseman, and their center fielder. And I don't know, every good team that I've ever seen, they're usually pretty strong up the middle.
Yeah.
We have some more question marks.
I don't mind hearing you say that. Does remind me of a great Stan Musial quote.
Yes.
When somebody once told Stan the man, hit the ball up the middle. And Stan said, why would I do that? That's where the best players play. I don't want to hit it there. Those guys can catch it. The opposite way to Span. Quickly moving back, and he makes the catch. Climbing the wall, out number 3. Worth another look. Authority of the Seattle Mariners, it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. Guillermo Heredia leads things off at the bottom of the 3rd for the Mariners. Romine, then Gordon. It's kind of funny how things work out for the Mariners in this series. Not only do they face consecutive all-star starting pitchers in Cole and in Morton. Last night facing Cole, the 3rd highest average velocity on his fastball among all starters in the majors. Morton, the 4th highest average fastball velocity. So things get easier tonight.
Morton with some height to him as well. 6'5", I believe. Works that nice downward plane as well. Obviously helping his curveball to stay on top. He's got a lot of positives going.
Bregman cuts across. Normally a third baseman. Now it's short. Round number 1 to the Ford Sports Desk. Angie.
Guys, thanks so much. It is Twitter Tuesday, and we hope that you are playing along with us, following us on Twitter at @RootSports_NW. So right now it is time for our second question of the night using hashtag RootQ2. Tell us how many combined hits and runs the Astros and the Mariners will have through the first 7 innings of tonight's game. This is for your chance to win one of those adorable Nelson Cruz Pop collectible. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at @RootSports_NW to answer. And a reminder, the guys winners are chosen at random from the correct answers. Back to you.
Thank you, Angie. One out here is Andrew Romine in the lineup, batting 9th at third base. Kyle Seager on the paternity list. Now, when you talk the curveball for Morton, right? Curveballs come in various shapes and forms. We see the more 12-6. We see the more kind of around the side, the more slurvy type. Is there a preference for a hitter? Which you'd rather face?
They're all hard to me. I mean, I think to me, depth is always something that's difficult. I think when it's a little more slurvy, it kind of stays on the same plane a little bit longer. I think it's a little easier to hit. When it's a sharp downer, especially coming off of a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, to me that makes it really, really difficult.
I think it's tough to square up a 12-6 curveball, period. And then when you consider for Morton that he has 98 miles an hour with his fastball and it's a late break on it. But watching him here today, it seems that at times he will get around it a little bit more so it can sweep. But for the most part, it's a 12-6, and I just think that it's hard to square that pitch up.
Strike 3 called on a fastball. 4 strikeouts first time through the order.
I think the two complement themselves very well too, Mike, because of the release point. Good hard fastballs coming out of that same release point as a curveball, and that makes it difficult.
Well, we hope to see you tomorrow. We've got day baseball here. A Mariners midweek matinee. 1:10 our first pitch time. Mariners and the Astros. As Wade LeBlanc will be up on the mound for the Mariners. Dallas Keuchel for the Astros. You can pick up your tickets at mariners.com. There's D. Gordon. Thinking about the bunt. It takes ball 1. Seeing a lot of that cutter so far as well. D now behind 1-2.
Typically this year he'll throw 6, 7, 8 cutters over the course of the game, so probably a few more here in the early going.
Broken bat, little flare, dunks in for a base hit. Second hit tonight for the Mariners. Comes with 2 outs.
It's going to be on a curveball. Primero Supermo. It's in the middle of the plate. Actually jams him a little bit.
Curveball looked like it had the sweep you're talking about, right, Mike?
Yeah, he's definitely changing his arm angles on it from time to time. Gordon with 25 stolen bases. A couple of outs, he may try it. Maldonado can really throw the catcher. This year when he was with Anaheim.
Maldonado, Mike, at 46% on his caught stealing. The league average 28%, so he's well above that. Does a nice job. He's got a great arm, good release.
The other side of that is that for Morton, only 3 steals when Morton has been on the mound so far this year.
It was Gene Segura that hit a line drive right back up the middle. He hit Charlie Morton part of his elbow and maybe hit him in the side. He was able to go make the play, throw him out to first. Gene was able to square it up.
Now the 1-1. Curve bends in for a strike. The ball and 2 strikes now to Segura. For Maldonado, by the way, this is just his 2nd game in an Astros uniform. Long-time backup in the National League. Jonathan Lucroy with the Brewers, and of course we saw him with the Angels. Chris Prieto, Mariners first base coach, simply describing Maldonado's arm as a 75 to 80 on an 80 scale. The point pretty clear. Keeping D close. That was close.
Quick move, quick feet from Charlie Morton.
And D looking like he's needing to stretch something out.
He's hurting a little bit. Earlier this year he had an issue with his back.
You mentioned the quick feet. That's a really good move over there, and you can see why not many runners have attempted or been successful. That's a good quick move.
And this time they get him.
Well, he beat the throw back there, then his hand will come off of the base, and D thought he had his fingers back on the base before he was tagged a second time. Primera Supermo. He has the corner. It doesn't appear that he tagged him right there. And then his hand will come off the base. He goes back to tag him again.
Scott will challenge this.
Gabe Morales, the first base umpire.
Doesn't look like he gets him on that first swipe.
No.
And he definitely gets him, but it looks like maybe D does have the corner. It's hard to tell.
I think he misses his elbow, and there's his hand having to reach back, and it doesn't matter whether his fingertips are touching the base or not. He thought he was okay.
And it seemed like, based on how his fingertips were kind of flexed, you could tell that he was touching the bat, right? They will need to find something clear and convincing to overturn this. Obviously, Scott Service believes that that evidence is there. That's why he's challenging.
Certainly that first baseman's glove cannot force his hand off of the bag.
Now the decision will be made in New York. Welke, our crew chief, says the call stands. D picked up. He can't believe it. And that ends the third inning. been in the rocking chair so far through 3 innings. Just the 1 hit to Tony Kemp, a 2-out single. He was left stranded. Pretty impressive stuff from Leake so far.
Yeah, his location has been outstanding. He's been able to mix in his 2-seamer, his little cutter, and just has really kept this Houston team off balance. They've really forced them to change their game plan a little bit, come out swinging and swinging early, and he's getting outs.
Over the first 3 innings, he threw 6 pitches that were not in the strike zone.
Obviously, it's different the way they go about their business, but it was something that Scott Service had talked about after the game last night with James, and him being able to get through 7 innings on 82 pitches. It's because he was around the strike zone. They had to be a little more aggressive, and really good stuff last night. So he had some quick outs.
Yeah.
Ground ball raked right over to D. Gordon. 1 out. Well, how about our Lowe's whole team together? Longest scoreless inning streaks this season. Paxton topped the charts with 18, with Alex Colomé an active 12 2/3 inning streak. We saw an added on to last night when he spun a scoreless 8th. But Leake, Marco, and James Pazos all tied for second with 14 scoreless innings. Leadoff man retired for Alex Bregman, a strikeout victim earlier. Bregman, who is playing shortstop now with Correa on the disabled list, a college shortstop and one of the best at the time. Number 2 overall draft pick out of LSU. Segura dives, smothers it from his side up the line. Terrific effort by Segura to get there. It's an infield base hit for Bregman.
I thought this was going to be in center field, but Gene diving for it right on the end of his glove, and that's the reason why he wasn't able to hold on to it. Gets rid of it quickly, but it'll be wide, and Ryan Healy had to leave the base. Like Bregman probably beats it out. Great effort.
Second hit tonight for the Astros off the Leake, both singles. In steps Yuli Gurriel. Underneath Segura's glove and out to Span. 1 out, 2 on. First time tonight the Astros have had multiple base runners. Back-to-back 1-out singles. Here's Gaddis, who on the first pitch you saw last time up smoked a line drive right to Romine at third.
And you want to be careful with him. 20 home runs on the year.
Healy chasing on the track, out of his reach.
Gaddis last night in the first inning hit a ball down the left field line that was just foul. Almost a 3-run home run.
Gurriel and Gaddis swinging at that first pitch. Mike, you can see him coming out there being aggressive. Now with runners on base, I expect him to be even more aggressive.
Outfielders are playing deep. Romine guarding the line over at third, so they expect him to pull the ball on the ground.
Off the plate, 2-1. Bregman at second, Gurriel at first. time today, D has had company at second base. Tick right back to the glove of Herman.
So far, nothing in the middle of the plate. That was right on the corner. Dan mentioned Gaddis is going to be aggressive, but this is a number of the off-speed pitches. Fastball at 89, that was by him. Late swing.
Everything away so far, too. To Gaddis.
Back to Herman's glove again. Fourth strikeout for Mike Leake, out number 2. Well, this Thursday, Felix and the Mariners open a 4-game series against the Blue Jays. Cheer on the Mariners from Kings Court, where tickets are just $34 and include the Kings Court t-shirt. Log on to mariners.com/Felix for tickets. What a homestand this one's going to be. Astros series wraps up tomorrow, day baseball, and then the Blue Jays in town for 4. Mariners will be on the road for a while after that, so this week your last chance for a little while to come catch Mariners baseball up close and personal. 2 outs, 2 on for Marwin Gonzalez. Gonzalez had a pretty lengthy battle his last time up. He found off 4 pitches with 2 strikes. To be an 8-pitch at bat overall. Leake eventually struck him out. Got him.
He hit him on the knee with a slider. 79 miles an hour. Camaro Supermo. Hit him on the shin. His right leg.
Looks like Mike trying to get that first pitch in deep, and it just got away from him a little bit. And Gonzalez will take it off the shin.
It looked like his bat hit him in the face as he was going to the ground.
So the bag's now chock full with 2 outs. And here's Tyler White. White, a former 33rd round draft pick by the Astros, who spent some time in the big leagues with Houston each of the last 2 years. Bags full, 2 down, top of the 4th. First time this year at the plate for White with the bases loaded. The 1-0. Makes it 1-1.
Leake really using that outside part of the plate to these right-handed hitters. If first pitch cutter, then that 2-seamer, starting it off the plate away and bringing it back. It looked like with Gaddis they tried to stay away pretty much exclusively as well. So Mike using that outside part of the plate, trying to get right there on the corner, get that weak contact.
Right to D. Gordon. Mariners second baseman handles it easily, and that ends the threat by the Astros in the top of the 4th. Leake gets out of a jam. 68th hit of the month. A major league record. Now, for comparison, Christian Yelich leads the majors in July, entering today with a robust 40 hits. I feel like Cobb had a step on him. Cobb hit .535 in 1922. 10 years later, he had 67 hits in July.
Well, in July, they played a lot of doubleheaders, so.
Let's rack them up.
Yeah.
Plus, there's 31 days. I mean,
Segura leads it off for the Mariners, looks at strike one. It was Segura who was left stranded at the plate when Gordon was picked up to end the third. Club left field. This is gone. Mariners on top. What a blast. Number 8 for Gene Segura, and it's 1-0 Mariners. One All-Star taking another All-Star deep.
th home run that Charlie Morton has given up this year. Trying to go on the inside corner. Actually makes the pitch I think that he wants to. Might have been elevated a little bit. Denard Span with a triple his first time up.
and we talk a lot with Gene Segura how he likes to stay through the ball, Mike, but that one right there just got that pitch down and in, did a nice job of turning on it and letting it fly. And sometimes when you do that, you hit pay dirt, and that one was hit a long way.
Yeah, that was right in the middle of the barrel, and when you hit it over the bullpen on the line,
yeah,
that's squaring it up. .412 feet on the home run.
Well, the good folks over there in line at Jack's Barbecue got a little bit of a souvenir, it looked like. Two balls and a strike on Span. Span ahead now, 3 balls and a strike. The home run, now a walk to Span. How about our CenturyLink What's Next? Day baseball tomorrow, 1:10 our first pitch time. We are on the air at 12:30 when the series wraps up. Dallas Keuchel, former Cy Young Award winner, former All-Star Game starter for the American League, on the mound for the Astros, very familiar opponent. Wade LeBlanc will go for the Mariners, making his 17th start of the season, an ERA just barely above 3.5. This should be another good pitching matchup. Little southpaws on the mound.
Good chance we'll see probably in the neighborhood of 60 changeups tomorrow between the two of them.
And steps Cruz. Now, not to make too big of a deal out of this, but think about how well Morton has pitched this year. I imagine there are many guys who have gotten on base in each of their first 2 plate appearances against Morton. Span has done that, right? The triple and the walk. And also, you think about Segura for a moment for the home run. Now, it hit off of Charlie Morton, which is good to see that he was okay. But that's consecutive pitches that were, needless to say, barreled up by Segura against one of the game's best. And that's pretty impressive stuff against Morton, who is having a career season this year.
He's having a great year, and he has his good stuff tonight. He's topped out at 98 miles an hour. Talked a lot about his curveball. That has been there for him. I think for the Mariners, Find a way to scratch out a few runs. Mike looks like he's in control of his game. Then turn it over to the back end of the bullpen with a lead.
Well, and to your point, Aaron, Maldonado just made a trip out there after the home run and then the walk to Span. I think it was a good choice on Maldonado's part to get out there and kind of collect Morton a little bit and get him back on task, especially with Cruz coming up. Sometimes those home runs have a way of rattling things.
Oh, Nelson had the big base hit last night, double down the left field line to drive in the 2 runs. That's all the Mariners needed.
Back-to-back 3-ball counts following that home run. Sliced to right field. Reddick making the catch. One out, one on. Span stays put. Meanwhile, in Oakland leading Toronto 5-1. A double steal, and Mark Canha steals home for Bob Melton. You know, Dan, when you talk about Maldonado, obviously a very good catcher, comes over to a team in first place in the Astros with postseason aspirations, to say the least. We talk all the time about a catcher having to learn a staff. Now, on the surface level, learning what pitches guys throw, but hey, even the common man can look online and find out what a guy's throwing, right? That's almost nothing. So what is it besides, what is it that goes into saying, well, I have to get to know a staff? Because it's more than just learning what pitches these guys throw.
Yeah, it's really a big part of it, Aaron, is learning what they do in tight situations, learning how they react to you know, when the game's on the line, learning their personality, learning what makes them tick, and those are the things that they take time to learn and experience. I think the one thing Maldonado maybe has in his situation is he's been in the American League West. He knows, he's seen these guys from the other side quite a bit, so understands a little bit more than just going into a situation blind. But obviously those are the things that take time, and it can be a task that is a little bit daunting. But these guys, this is a very good pitching staff, guys that they know what they're doing, and I think it will be Maldonado learning them and adjusting to what these guys do. They've had a lot of success with it, and obviously McCann, I'm sure, is around helping with that adjustment as well. So there's just a lot that goes into it.
There's that number 2. Haniger strikes out on 3 pitches. Well, going to the game, it's a quick and easy trip on the Sounder train. Link Line Rail and ST Express buses. Plan your trip at soundtransit.org. Two-out Span at first base after the walk. First pitch strike to Chris Herman. The appeal of the check swing, he commits on the curve. 0-2. Strike 3 called. Herman knew it. 6 strikeouts through 4 innings for Charlie Morton. However, Gene Segura taking him deep, and a little bit of run support for Mike Leake. Gene Segura off of Charlie Morton, the only run so far this ball game.
Well, you can see the two-seamer was running in on his hands, but Gene has the ability. Pretty good pitch. It was on the corner. Has the ability to get the barrel to the baseball. His 8th home run.
Pretty rare ball one thrown tonight from Lee. Martin Maldonado leading things off for the Astros in the 5th.
Rare to see Mike behind in a count. 55 pitches, 40 strikes.
And to your point, this is his first 3-ball count of the night. It's a strike across, 3-1. Knob of the bat, full count.
A lot of run on that two-seamer. It's been a good pitch for him tonight. Starts at the middle of the plate on that Maldonado pitch there.
Romine cuts it off. Malik fell behind 3-0, and he gets Maldonado to ground out to third for round number 1. Now meet Mitch Haniger. Donate to Fred Hutch for your chance to meet the Mariners All-Star. Visit fredhutch.org/give. First pitch to Tony Kemp, jackknifes him. Kemp with one of only 3 hits so far tonight off the lead. He shoots this out towards the gap. Heredia having a chug for it, can't get there. Multi-hit night for Tony Kemp. 1-out double.
And a fastball. Looks like it's on the outside corner, again above the knees. It just drops the barrel on it, finds a gap. Outfielders were playing straight up.
One out, a runner in scoring position for the top of the order is Kyle Tucker. George Springer exiting because of injury very early tonight. Rookie outfielder pops up the first pitch. Romine wants it. 2 outs.
One of the few times, Dan, that we've seen him elevate the fastball out right at the top of the strike zone to get the pop up.
Thought Tucker actually put on a pretty good at bat his last time up, hit the ball the other way pretty well, and Mike kind of tried to come up and in with that fastball and got Tucker to bite and hit the pop up.
Two outs, Kemp at second. Josh Reddick the batter. Receiving word from the Astros clubhouse on Springer. Left shoulder soreness will be reevaluated after the game. He could barely move his arm as he was running from center field towards the dugout after the end of that inning. Leak ahead 0-2. Reddick 0 for 2 has twice grounded out to Dee Gordon at second base.
He's really tried to use his changeup to Reddick. Threw it to him a number of times this evening. A couple of weak ground ball outs to the right side of the infield.
The 0-2. Clubbed into right field, base hit. Haniger on a bounce. Kemp has speed. Here comes a throw. Offline, and we are tied. First run of this series for the Astros.
And it's a breaking ball, and he just misses his location. Ends up right in the middle of the plate.
Looked like maybe backdoor cutter trying to hit that outside corner, and kind of came back more onto the middle of the plate.
Go ahead run now at first. In steps Alex Bregman, an infield base hit. His last at bat. Strike one. Nothing and two. Bregman with 22 home runs this year. Has been one of the best run producers this season for the Astros. Outside, Herman's throw to D. Gordon. Tag applied. Out at second base. Reddick cut down for just the second time this season. We are tied at 1. Sugar Bourbon, you can't spell baseball without BSB. Happy you can be with us on a gorgeous night from Seattle. We are tied at 1 going to the bottom of the 5th. Aaron Goldsmith, Mike Flowers, alongside Mariners Hall of Famer Dan Wilson. Really terrific pitching on both sides last night and tonight, as Ryan Healy leads it off for the Mariners.
For the Mariners, just 3 hits, but one of them a home run by Segura. Ryan had a base hit last night. Might drive back up the middle.
Get a piece of that curveball. 1-2. breaking ball has just simply been untouchable at times this year. Now the 1-2. Bregman having a charge on the run. There's out number 1. Well, the Mariners host the Astros tomorrow at 1:10. The first 20,000 fans will receive a pack of Topps baseball cards featuring all their favorite players, including James Paxton, Nelson Cruz, and of course Dee Gordon. Head to Mariners.com to pick up your tickets. Nothing quite like day baseball from inside Safeco Field. We'll have that for you tomorrow. The Blue Jays come to town for 4 to wrap up the homestand. John Gibbons and the Jays in Oakland right now. First pitch swinging, Heredia to second base. Marwin Gonzalez handles that easily. Back-to-back ground ball outs. Two up, 2 down for Andrew Romine, who struck out earlier. Did I ever tell you about my conversation with Romine after pitching in Anaheim before the All-Star break, Mike?
No.
We ran into each other walking to the ballpark in Denver, and I hadn't talked to him up until that point about him pitching, which of course he has done before. And this almost eats up Bregman, but he handles it smoothly. 6 pitches for a quick ending to the 5th. We'll pick that up when we go to the 6th. All tied at 1. Money Tree, proud to make a donation to Mariners Care for every Mariners win. By Jack in the Box, this season a Mariners double play means free jumbo jacks from Jack in the Box. By CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. And by BNSF Railway, sponsor of the BNSF Blast. Tonight, game 2 of 3, Mariners and the Astros. Mariners winning last night 2-0. We are tied at 1 as we open the 6th. Pitch missing just a bit high to Alex Bregman.
So you're walking with Romine in Denver.
And I asked Romine about pitching to some pretty big bats in the Angels order, right? Pujols, Trout, Kinsler, I think was in the mix there. This is socked out to left center. Span chasing. Short hops the wall. Heredia the carom. And Bregman slides into second base. A leadoff double. Go ahead run in scoring position. And he said that all the guys but one are kind of giving him a smirk, right? A little smile. Trout in particular, kind of having some fun facing a position player. He said, then Pujols dug in. And Pujols, he said, looked right through me. And he said, oh no, this guy wants to hit a laser. And he got him out. Pretty impressive stuff.
Dan, did you ever pitch?
Not in a big league game, no. You?
Never wanted to.
No.
To the mound. Lee eyes to second, throw to first. One out. Bregman staying put at second base for Evan Gattis. Of course, we encourage you to ask the booth. You can simply chime in using the hashtag AskRoot. And Eric with the C wants to know, guys, your thoughts on some of Jerry's moves. Of course, he is happy that Jerry did not mortgage the farm, but was curious about how you guys saw the trades for Jerry working out.
Well, I think it basically went the way that he was explaining that he thought it would, and that was going to strengthen and add some depth to the bullpen. He certainly was able to do that. A couple of trades yesterday. Zach Duke here today, the left-hander, and then picking up a veteran center fielder. So I think that they had a few needs and some things that he wanted to do, and he was able to accomplish it, Dan.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the thing that's one of the trademarks for the Mariners this year really has been the strength of their bullpen, and obviously doing what they can to bolster that or strengthen that going down the stretch is a good move. And I think that's what Jerry was setting out to do, like you mentioned, Mike, and that's what he did. And I think that's going to bode well for the Mariners.
This is trouble out to left. Span leaping gone. Gattis almost had one last night. He finds one tonight. His 21st of the season comes with a man aboard. And the Astros have taken a 3-1 lead.
For Gattis, hitting just .239 on the year, but this will be his 21st home run. And Z. Herman, he was set up probably just off the outside corner, but that ended up in the middle of the plate.
They had success with him last time, staying away from him, and that one not quite getting out to the corner, and had a little elevation to it, and Gattis was able to get to it.
Ball into Marwin Gonzalez. He's who played for Ryan Healy. 2 outs. Now, speaking of the moves by Jerry and kind of when some of these guys will be showing up, Maben, it sounds like, will hopefully be here tomorrow. That is the thought. Warren tomorrow as well. Duke, of course, here tonight. Rowan, Elias being put on the disabled list today. That's how Duke finds a spot on the roster. Scott was describing it this afternoon. It was kind of a freak injury. Pre-game routine in the weight room for Elias. Nothing too serious. He will be unable to throw a baseball for about a week.
Tricep, right?
That's right. 2-out single, Tyler White. Well, as we talk about the moves, this isn't during the winter. This is once the season starts. So forget the trade deadline. Elias the first, Span and Colomé at the same time, of course. Tuivalala coming over from the Cardinals. Duke, Warren, and Maben. So plenty of new faces as the season has progressed. We have seen, and we knew this would be the case, for Span and Colomé, the value that they would add to the Mariners well before the trade deadline, and that is part of the reason why that move was made as early as it was. And think about how much they have impacted games. Span has now played in more games in a Mariners uniform than he did in a Rays uniform.
And he's played well.
Very well.
And he's been right in between that 290, 300 mark since he's been over here. Colomé, really important job trying to get the baseball to Diaz.
Two balls and a strike to Maldonado.
And to your point, Aaron, I think that is exactly what Dipoto said too when we acquired those guys from the Rays, was that let's do it now and get their value and their use, and these guys have really, like you mentioned, have contributed so much along the stretch here, and it's a couple of great moves.
And how much do you think with the bullpen and now the guys that we just showed, the additions that they have with everything else in the back end with Colome and Diaz set, how much of that do you think is trying to shorten up the game, especially for a couple of the starters who they're trying to watch their innings?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, and I guess, you know, it kind of goes back to what I was saying before about the bullpen being such a strength for him. You know, in order for starters to not go as deep, you're going to need to use guys in the bullpen, and these guys will be able to come out earlier in the ball game and then get it to those guys, the Colomes and then the Casios and the Diaz's later in the game, and that's going to be a big lift for the Mariners and their starting staff.
Romine to Gordon, the force on White, and that ends the top of the sixth. Astros leading 3-1. Airlines. Beautiful night on Capitol Hill, Volunteer Park. As Charlie Morton is at 65 pitches after only a 6-pitch fifth inning.
Well, this will be the third time through the lineup for him. D. Gordon going to lead things off in the bottom of the sixth. D 1 for 2 had a base hit into left field his last time up.
Hey guys, getting back to the pitching conversation, we heard Scott Service talking about Erasmo Ramirez today. A rehab start once again tonight. AA Arkansas in North Little Rock. Erasmo 4 innings. No walks, 6 strikeouts, a couple of runs, 1 earned. So we know that Erasmo is continuing to progress and get closer. We've heard talks, of course, of his 6-man rotation possibly at some point down the stretch for the Mariners. He would be a guy who could help out with that. Off the hands, foul, 1-2. Off 97, still 1-2.
Might get interesting, Dan, if you're going to go to a 6-man rotation, which we've heard Jerry talk about, and Scott for that matter. Again, trying to save innings. When's the best time to do that?
Yeah.
Because they also say it's going to be for a short period of time. I mean, a couple, 2-3 weeks if they're going to do it. Do it in August. If the guys are stronger in September and still available, or do you try to win every game you can now because so many of these guys are pitching so well? Then maybe their innings get up there and makes it difficult for him. September, it's a tough thing to make a decision on, I would think.
Yeah, and obviously August, they talk about the dog days. There's some fatigue in there, so reasons maybe you want to give somebody another blow, another start.
Yep.
Well, you can hear some frustration there on D. Gordon, strikeout victim number 7. Our Rocket Mortgage breakdown: James Paxton versus the Astros this year. Incredible. 3-0, a .87 earned run average. Only 4 walks, 21 strikeouts. They're barely hitting 200 against him. Of course, last 2 seasons, a 1.29 ERA in 7 starts. We saw Paxton spin a beauty last night. One out, nobody aboard. Segura, the offense so far tonight for the Mariners.
Yeah, I'm curious. I saw it happening last night with James out there, and Scott had said before the game they were looking 80 to 90 pitches for him. He's cruising along, and I noticed him talking to Mike Zunino a couple of different times after the 5th and the 6th as they were coming off the field. How often will a manager get involved with the catcher as far as where a pitcher's at, especially coming off an injury, and what is that conversation like?
I think it's crucial, especially coming off an injury there like that. It's a great question, and I think the Scott Service, having been a catcher, knows what a catcher sees back there, especially with a guy like Paxton when he's coming off the DL, and things to look for, sharpness in a breaking ball, fastballs that may be staying up in the strike zone, signs of fatigue.
Is he getting extension?
Yes, exactly. Those kinds of things, and obviously they're seeing the same thing from the bench, but obviously a catcher gets a much closer view of what the ball is actually doing once it gets to the strike zone, and so that's the question managers do. And
Bregman can't hold on with the bare hand.
How difficult is it to be honest? When you have a teammate out on the mound, right? Boss is asking you questions. That has to be a little bit difficult too, especially if the pitcher wants to stay in a ball game and you feel like he's done.
It's tougher when it's happening on the mound and the pitcher's right there. It becomes a very difficult situation, but it's a little different when he pulls you aside on the bench. But either way, I think it's on a manager's part. It's smart. He knows the catcher is right there in it with him and can see the change from earlier in the ball game to where he is at that current point.
Infield base hit, Gene Segura, multi-hit game. 1 out, 1 on. Denard Span, the tie-in run at the plate. A triple and a walk. Showing bunt, looking at ball 1.
James Pazos getting loose in the pen for the Mariners. He has really had a good year for the Mariners. Hard throwing left-hander.
Shift on for Span. The opposite way. Kemp coming in on a hop. Back-to-back 1-out singles. Span has been on base 3 times facing Charlie Morton tonight.
Similar to what we saw in last night's game. It was Gene Segura with an infield hit, Span with a base hit, line drive into center field last night. Here it is again to set things up for Nelson Cruz. Primera Supermo. Kemp thought he had a chance. Decided to play it into a single, and Nelson ended up hitting a double down the left field line last night to drive in the only 2 runs of the game.
Saw Span go to center field with a triple early in that game, first inning. Just serving that ball out in the center field. Really looked like he's trying to use the middle of the field tonight off Morton. A pretty good approach off a guy who's as tough as Morton is.
This sets up in a very familiar situation. Segura at second, Span at first, and Cruz at the plate.
And Nelson has been hot lately. He's swinging the bat well.
Shots beneath the knees. Ball 1. Of course, it was Cruz driving in these two runners last night for the only runs of the ball game. Span scoring all the way from first. 1-1. Tying run at first, go ahead run with 25 blasts on the season at the plate. Now behind a ball and 2 strikes. The 1-2 off the plate evens it up. Second time Nelson has struck out on that curveball. 2 outs.
We started him with the curveball, came back with a couple of fastballs, missed with the cutter, and then that's his best pitch, and he went right back to it again.
That was more the 12-6 variety there, nice and tight. Like you mentioned earlier, Mike, very sharp and very late break on that one. Good pitch right there.
Haniger leads the team with 68 RBIs.
2 outs and 2 on. In front of the circle, that gets Segura back. Span as well. Ball 1.
Looks like that might have been a cross up there with Morton and Maldonado.
Trying to get on the same page.
Luckily for Maldonado, kind of bounced out in front of home plate. Runners were not able to advance.
Into the gap towards left center. Segura getting waved in. He will score without a throw, and with 2 outs, Mitch Haniger delivers. He has brought the Mariners within a run.
And with the base hit, he now has 69 RBIs on the year. Segura has scored both of the runs. High leg kick from Mitch. Fastball above the belt, jammed him a little bit, but he'll take the line drive.
It's an important run there, Mike, after giving up the 2-run homer to Gaddis to at least cut that lead in half. Now see if Herman can add another run to it and tie this thing up.
Brushes him back in 96.
We're in the 6th inning, and with this inning, they continue to add to his pitch count too.
Right at the top of the zone, a ball to strike. Span at second, Haniger at first. Here comes the 1-1. Maldonado wanted out of the corner.
That was close.
See Maldonado talking to Welke.
See on the EQC tracer, probably could have gone either way.
Yeah. A lot of times those conversations happen with both guys looking straight ahead. So you don't know they're having that discussion, but.
Inside gets away from Maldonado. Span staying put at second, Haniger at first.
Colin McHugh getting loose in the pen for Houston. 24 pitches in the inning for Charlie Morton.
Span the tying run in scoring position. Go ahead at first. That's Haniger. The 3-1. Bregman has been busy tonight. In time as White stays anchored at first base. And the Mariners grant a couple, but a run does cross. Mariners within one. Astros lead has been trimmed to 1. And Mike Leake done for the night, guys. Going 6 innings.
8 hits, 3 runs. They were earned. Didn't walk anybody. 4 strikeouts, 82 pitches, 60 strikes.
So Leake is done, and it's onto the bullpen from here. Our Beacon Fleming call to the pen. James Pazos will tow the slab here in the 7th.
Really having a good year for the Mariners. 40 appearances on the year, 2.41 ERA, 30 strikeouts over just 5 walks. Opponents hitting 240. His fastball 92 to 96 miles an hour, and a slider.
You will face batters 9, 1, and 2 here in the 7th. Hey, we were talking position players pitching earlier. Jose Reyes tonight pitching for the Mets, guys, in a 25-4 Nationals win. Reyes threw 48 pitches. In the 8th inning, he allowed 6 runs. That's a 54 earned run average, in case you were wanting to crunch those numbers.
Apparently, he was in the middle of the plate.
That's a lot of pitches.
That's a ton of pitches.
Yeah.
Here's Tony Kemp. Looks at ball 1. First team to score 25 runs in 11 seasons, by the way. Daly was playing in, comes right to him, 1 out. Well, thanks to KeyBank, all kids 14 and under can have the opportunity of a lifetime when they take a lap around the bases right here at Safeco Field. Your next chance to do so Sunday. Final game of the homestand when the Mariners host the Blue Jays. First pitch is at 1:10. Get tickets for the entire family by going to mariners.com. There's young outfielder Kyle Tucker. It would not be a Mariners-Astros game unless Tony Sipp pitched. He's getting loose. The lone lefty inside A.J. Hinch's bullpen. Joe Smith getting loose as well. Tuivailala getting loose, getting ready to make his Mariners debut.
Hard throwing right-hander. His average fastball 95 miles an hour. Slider curveball.
Tucker, the number 5 overall pick by the Astros back in 2015. Bends him back. 3-1. I mean, imagine this. The Astros had 2 of the top 5 picks that year. Alex Bregman, they took number 2 overall. Tucker, they took number 5. Andrew Benintendi was taken 2 picks later. A walk.
Rare walk. All fastballs.
One out, one on, left on left. Here comes Reddick. Reddick tied this game up in the 5th with an RBI single. Gaddis later the 2-run home run. The shift on the first pitch. Inside for ball 1.
One of the few times this year when we've seen Pazzo struggle with his fastball command. 8 pitches, just 2 strikes.
Now he has missed on the first pitch to each of the first 3 hitters here. Now 2-0.
Well, Stottlemyre his way out of the dugout.
That walk, by the way, only the 5th this year. Pazzo's making his 41st appearance. He's worked nearly 35 innings.
On the chart for Josh Reddick. Wants to pull the ball 20% back up the middle, almost nothing towards left field.
Mel out there kind of to give him a little bit of a breather, but also give him a little bit of a pointer or 2. It's like a lot of his pitches kind of riding up in the zone, leaving him into the lefties, not maybe finishing his pitch, getting it out front.
One out, one on. The 2-0. Instead, a soft toss to first.
Well, after Reddick, you have 3 right-handers due up for Houston in the middle of the lineup. So Sam continues to get loose in the pen. I think this will probably be his last hitter.
Now 3-0. There's the strike. Hanging up. Haniger charging. Drops in. Tucker to second. Reddick his second hit tonight. 1 out, 2 on. And here comes Scott. Pitching change coming. Top of the 7th. 1 out, 2 on. Tuivailala getting set to make his Mariners debut.
Put a level with you. This is not a natural glow. No, I am sweating and baking underneath lights here at Safeco Field. It's hot, but they have got a way for you to beat the heat here at Safeco Field. It is Rita's Italian Ice. They have got made fresh daily frozen ices, gelatos, frozen custard frozen custard cups. They've got sundaes, frozen custard cookies, sandwiches, and more. So now they've got 5 locations throughout the ballpark, located on the main and view levels. So be sure that you stop by and get yourself a Rita's Italian Ice the next time you are here at Safeco Field. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you, Angie. Big round of applause as Sam Tuivailala getting introduced on the video board, making his Mariners debut.
With St. Louis, a 3.69 ERA, 31 2/3. He has 26 strikeouts. Holmes hit .273 against him. Again, his average fastball 95 miles an hour. Slider, curveball.
Facing Bregman right away. 1 out, 2 on. So here's one of 3 new relievers for the Mariners. Zach Duke and Adam Warren as well. .96-mile-an-hour fastball strike.
A pretty easy 96, Dan.
Well located inside part of the plate near the corner. And you're right. Nice easy delivery. 94 on the first pitch and then 96 on that second one.
Well, Herman trying to find this as the runners stay put. Tuivailala coming up as a Cardinal, drafted and developed by St. Louis. Major League debut back in 2014. Just an inning as a 21-year-old. Last year nearly 40 appearances for the Cardinals. This year just over 30 before the trade. And good numbers right on right. He's been knocked around a little bit this year by left-handed hitters. The righty's hitting .230 against him this season. Off-speed pitch, strike. You see the curve, which is a fairly new addition overall to Tuivailala in his repertoire. The 2-2. Cracked to Haniger. Going back, and he makes the catch. The runners have to stay put where they are. 2 outs.
Well, Mitch has really played well in right field this year. We've already talked about the outfield assist for him, but also catches just about everything that goes out to right field. Pretty good route right there. And we'll get the ball in quickly.
Pretty good pitch on that outside corner, Mike, and Berkman doing a nice job of going the other way with it, but pretty good pitch out there on the corner at 96.
And then you just see Herman running out to the mound. Is that to go over the scouting report on Gurriel, the next hitter?
Probably talking scouting report and or also shoring up the signs with that runner on second base to make sure that they're on the same page with the signs.
First pitch to Gurriel. Soft chopper foul to Romine. 97 that time.
Coming to new teams, there's always things you need to learn. Some teams will switch the signs with the outs or whatever the case is, and every team is a little bit different. And so,
well, to your point, I mean, they probably just introduced themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's going to happen over the next few days.
Right.
2 outs, 2 on. Gurriel has been a beast with runners in scoring position. 420. The 0-1. Clubbed, a foul ball. Lance Barrett skipping some rope over by Romine.
It's on a breaking ball and ends up in the middle of the plate. Off the heel.
And Herman back out for another visit. Tuivalu growing up in San Mateo, California, growing up a Giants fan. Until last year was really just a 2-seam slider pitcher. And then at the start of last year started to introduce a 4-seamer and the curveball, which we just saw. But as much as he enjoyed his time in the Cardinals organization, happy to be on the same coast as his family now. Coming out west. All of his family still in San Mateo. Two outs and 2 on. Now the 0-2. Broken bat. Segura on first. Couple of men are left stranded. And Sam Tuivalu, maybe a name we'll be saying more often. It's the Mariners out of a jam. replay today. On to the bottom of the 7th. Mariners down a run, 3-2. Time now for T-Mobile's Built for Baseball, and the big swing of this one coming from the Astros DH, Evan Gattis.
Now got himself a pitch that just found enough of the plate. A little bit of elevation, and Gattis deposited that into the left field seats. Give the Houston Astros that 3-1 lead. Mariners were able to come back in the bottom half of the 6th to cut it to 3-2.
Well, Charlie Morton is out after 6 innings. That's the good news. There's veteran reliever Joe Smith on to work the 7th.
Joe Smith with a fastball slider combination. You see his numbers on the year. 35th game of the season. 4.13 ERA, 29 strikeouts to just 7 walks, giving up 4 home runs. Opponent's hitting 198 against Joe Smith this season.
Faces Ryan Healy. The final line for Charlie Morton.
6 innings, 6 hits, a couple of runs. They were earned, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. He threw 90 pitches. Good stuff tonight. Topped out at 98. Good curveball.
Up the middle, shift on. This is Marlon Gonzalez, the second baseman. 1 out. Ben Gamble will pinch hit for Heredia.
And A.J. Hinch on his way out to the mound. Tony Sipp.
1 out, nobody on. Mariners down a run. And Sipp coming on to pitch for Houston.
Astros, they trail by 1. Angie Mentink with you here at the Ford Sports Desk. You know what Mariners baseball is good for besides entertainment value? Good medicine. Say you're trying to heal up, like my friend Eric here. And Eric rooting from his hospital bed after a new right knee. Well, rest up, Eric, and hopefully the Mariners will get you a win here. The hashtag to use is Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. We find Cameron down at a Dodgers game, but still rooting on the Mariners up against the Astros here in Seattle. And then finally we have Laura. And Laura moved from Texas to Seattle because the baseball's better up here. Things are better down there, but the baseball's better up here. The hashtag again is Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines, guys.
Thank you, Angie. Left on left, Sipp versus Gamble as he fouls away the first pitch.
And for Tony Sipp, 31 appearances. He's pitched well this year. 1.69 ERA, 28 strikeouts and 26 2/3. Opponent's hitting .207. He's yet to give up a home run. Average fastball at 92 miles an hour. Slider split. Gamble hitting for Heredia.
Squib off of Gurriel and into left field. Only the 7th hit by a lefty off of SIP this year.
Slider left up in the zone. Right off the end of the glove.
Now facing Romine. Wants this over the screen, foul. Gamble the tying run with speed at first base. Oh, and 2. One out, one on, bottom of the 7th. Mariners down a run. Romine strikes out, 2 down.
Pretty good split.
I'll get ready to belt out the lyrics to some of your favorite songs with thousands of fellow Mariner fans at Sing Along Fireworks Night presented by T-Mobile. It all takes place Friday, August 17th after the Mariners host the Dodgers at 7:10. Great seats remain at mariners.com. Two outs, top of the order. Here is D. Gordon.
You mentioned that split, Mike. That was a really good split down and away from Romine. Tough pitch for a right-hander. Try to stay on, and that's a really tough weapon for SIP.
And the other part about that too is you just don't see lefties throwing a split anymore.
Yeah.
It's a really popular pitch, but a lot of guys have been getting away from it because of injury. But it's really unique to have a left-hander throw it. Typically, they all own the changeup, don't they, Dan?
Yeah, a lot of them do.
Yep. Not much of a move. I don't think Gamble is going to go anywhere.
Now this is a different Tony SIP this year for the Astros. Last couple of years, he's been their lone lefty, and he has not exactly been rock solid left on left. 2 years ago, 284. Last year, just about 250. This year, different story. Lefty's hitting 140. And he's ahead of Gordon, 0-2 now.
He was able to get away with a slider right there. Was elevated on the corner, but belt high. Pretty good swing from D.
So far, he's been fastball, sliders to the lefties, splits to the righties. See how he goes to D here, ahead, 2 strikes.
Flick foul, still 0-2.
Another slider. See Maldonado setting up way off the plate away.
Gamble back. Another 0-2. Missing Sip, thinking that was strike 3.
Tried to freeze him with a fastball on that outside corner, and he thought he got it, but tracer shows that it's off the plate away.
Pretty good take. EQC tracer just out of the strike zone. Another slider.
Come on, D. You got this.
Everything has been away to D. I would assume he'll just kind of stay away from him. Just be a question of whether it's fastball or slider.
Here comes the 2-2. Swings through it. That ends the inning. We go to the 8th. Mariners down a run. Wraps up. We take a look at our CenturyLink What's Next. Dallas Keuchel making the start for the Astros, a 3.60 earned run average. Meanwhile, on the other side, Wade LeBlanc making his 16th start of the year. Similar ERA, 3.51. Should be a good one between two very good lefties tomorrow. Day baseball, 1:10 the first pitch. Mariners pregame begins at 12:30 here on Root Sports, so if you can join us. HOU Valhalla out for the 8th inning. And he gets a strike across to Gaddis.
Evan Gaddis, the difference in the ball game, a 2-run home run back in the 6th inning.
Fastball missing, 1-1. Something that HOU Valhalla did a number of times this year with the Cardinals. He worked more than an inning. Wasn't just a matchup guy. He got stretched out to nearly 40 pitches at one point. Worked 2 innings multiple times. Not a guy out just there for 3 outs, although that did happen, of course, as well. over to Segura. Good throw on to first, and Gaddis is out number 1 to begin the 8th inning. A lot of familiar faces for Tuivailala with the Mariners, namely Marco Gonzalez. Those two are together coming up the Cardinals system. In fact, they were in AAA Memphis together. There were a lot of the stops all the way up the minor league ladder. Of course, Mike Leake as well, coming over from the Cardinals. One up, one down. Here is Marwin Gonzalez. The general manager for the Cardinals, John Mozeliak, he called Tui to tell him that he had been traded, and he was saying that when he got the call, he just kind of went into this blackout space where he had no idea how to comprehend anything, and was, of course, had his life turned upside down. I don't know if both of you guys can relate to that feeling.
I think you can understand that.
Oh yeah.
So many times the players, you hear the rumors, and so you have an idea, but for Sam, probably hadn't heard anything and was shocked by it.
Yeah, Manny Machado, not surprised.
Right. They've been talking about that for months.
It's different too when you're traded during the season versus during the off season. Off season, clearly you're going to start the team with the new team fresh. But in Tui's case, he's coming here and a lot of new faces in the midst of a pennant race, so lots of things to learn very quickly.
Two balls and two strikes.
Speaking of new faces, Zach Duke is getting loose in the pen.
Another former teammate, Tui's in St. Louis. Duke with the Twins this year. Cardinals last year and part of the season before that. Full count. Oh boy, that was right there. Tyler White on deck. 1 for 3 tonight. The payoff. One out, shift on. Another 3-2. Gamble has taken over in right field, plays it on a bounce. Gonzalez on base for the second time. Today, the trade deadline. The notable moves from last night and today as well. Kinsler going to the Red Sox. Brian Dozier, another second baseman, on to Los Angeles. Jonathan Scope, who's been very hot lately, speaking of second baseman, going on to Milwaukee. Wilson Ramos, an all-star catcher for the Rays, now at the Phillies. And the biggest name, in some ways, Chris Archer, moving from the Rays on to Pittsburgh. You wonder, with the Red Sox, with that Kinsler move, what the level of optimism is for Dustin Pedroia to take the field at some point this season.
I would say probably it's not very good that that's going to happen.
You kind of feel that way.
Yeah. White with a base hit his last time up.
Sounded like a broken bat and deposited into left field. Gonzalez making the turn, heading for third, and the Astros have runners on the corner. Back-to-back one-out singles.
He ends up jamming him. Pretty good fastball in on his hands, but he fights it off down the line. aggressive base running by Gonzalez. No, Stottlemyre out to the mound.
Sometimes you can make a good pitch, break a bat, and still give up a hit. That was the case there. A good pitch on the inside corner. Good velocity to it.
Elevated.
Elevated, a little bit of run.
Now 2 other moves from the division. The Rangers dealing away their hard-throwing lefty, Jake Diekman, and Keona Kela, their closer. Now, the Rangers are out of it, of course. However, you think about how that could impact whenever the Mariners, the Astros, or the A's play Texas, and we know that every game counts. I mean, those are big moves that could impact late in games for, well, all the teams who are scoreboard watching.
The Mariners are going to Arlington to start the next road trip.
First pitch to Maldonado. Not far away from Herman. Ball 1.
Good job by Herman to keep that ball from getting by him. Catcher's learning Tui as well, so he's trying to keep tabs with what he's doing.
Good breaking ball.
We talked about Kinsler being traded to the Red Sox. The Angels also trading Maldonado. One out, the 1-1. Makes it 1-2. Missing inside. Count levels out.
Let's see if he can make a pitch right here. Get a ground ball, double play out of the inning. This will be his last hitter.
Here comes the 2-2. Swing, ground ball. Over to D. On to first. We bow to Los Adames. We go to the bottom of the 8th. We'll be seeing Gene Segura. And then Denard Span red hot. Nelson Cruz. Bottom of the 8th inning. Well, the Mariners and one point leading this game 1-0. This is back in the fourth. That with a swing from Gene Segura.
Pretty good swing, Aaron. Able to get the barrel to it and keep it fair. It looked like that fastball was running in on his hands, Dan, but able to hit it into the seats.
Yeah, running good movement on the inside part of the plate, but able to really use his legs there, get a good turn on it, and just drive it out of the ballpark. Great swing by Big Gene Segura. He's taken a lot of those good swings all season.
Or Gene, his 8th home run on the year. He will lead things off for the Mariners.
New arm on the mound for A.J. Hinch. Colin McHugh, a former starter, now a reliever. And pitching very well.
Average fastball, 92 miles an hour, slider, curve, 36 appearances. ERA just over 1. 68 strikeouts and 51 2/3. Opponents hitting 149 against some just terrific numbers. Has given up 4 home runs this year.
He has given up just 2 earned runs in his last 16 outings. 3 walks and 28 strikeouts in that span. He would be pitching in virtually any rotation, but not for the Astros. Segura checking in with the home plate umpire Bill Welke. Strike 1.
It's a pretty good breaking ball.
See that tight spin.
McHugh actually receiving some Cy Young votes back in 2015. 32 starts, a 3.89 earned run average. Popped up. Tyler White. Basket catch right in front of the Mariners dugout. Taking that bat away from Segura.
Concentration. He realizes he's getting close to the dugout, able to make the play.
He mentioned that breaking ball below. 0-2, went up top with a fastball and then came back with the breaking ball on that pitch, and you can see Gene really reaching for it. It's a tough pitch.
Ball on to Span, who has been on base 3 times, a triple, a single, and a walk. One and two now. Well, McHugh is a guy that the Astros just got off the scrap heap. His first 2 seasons of the majors with the Mets and the Rockies, he had an earned run average to the moon. But they loved one thing in particular: the spin rate on his curveball. And he has really blossomed into a very fine major league pitcher. Marwin Gonzalez at second base tonight, 2 outs. Well, you can always chime in, ask the booth the question. Just use the hashtag AskBrute. And the question coming across: what happened to Nelly's face guard? And we will admit we do not know the answer. We do know this, though. Some diligent work in the truck. We have found the last time he had it, which was back on a Sunday, July 22nd, against the White Sox. We'll have to ask Nelly in person. Two outs for Cruz, looking for his first hit tonight. That which misses for ball one. They have the shift on for Cruz. See this from time to time. McHugh off the mound, the bare hand, a strike to first. And Colin McHugh retires the side in order. It is on to the ninth. Astros by a run. On Hispanic Colome. Tui Valala just making his Mariners debut. And Zach Duke coming over from the Twins yesterday and making his Mariners debut here in the ninth inning. You can see lowest hard hit rate. He is right there among the best. He is only soft contact so far this year. Longtime big leaguer and all-star back in 2009 as a starter, has transitioned in his career to a reliever, and he will work the ninth at a Mariners uniform for the first time.
Upper 80s with his fastball, curveball, changeup.
Left on left, a strike. Jason Bradford getting loose inside the bullpen for the Mariners. Duke, part of a team prior to tonight, or prior to yesterday rather, that really had high expectations, right? The Twins, there was a lot thought of them entering this year. It became sellers. Kemp grounds out, one down. The biggest piece being Brian Dozier on to Los Angeles. A brutal year for Miguel Sano, option down to the minors. But a tough year for Paul Molitor. And what has been really the worst division in the majors. Well, George Springer injured early in this game in the first inning, injuring his shoulder. Cal Tucker taking his spot.
Duke using the inside part of the plate against a lot of lefties here. early on. Dropped down on that one a little bit, so it's a couple of different arm angles from him.
One and two.
There's some late movement on the two-seam fastball at the bottom of the strike zone. His fastball 88, 89, but the late movement. And him to swing through it a couple of times.
There's a little change in the arm angle there on that breaking ball. It's a little more sweep with that. Less depth, but more sweep.
One out, the shift on for the 2-2. Now same story. Foul.
Hector Rondon, hard throwing right-hander, getting loose in the pen for Houston.
Fights it off the other way and a base hit. One out single for Tucker.
Stays in on his hands, jams him up a little bit. Soft line drive in the left field. We got Josh Reddick with a couple of hits tonight.
Lefty's batting .237 against Duke this year. Out to right field and trouble. Gamble tracking it, gone. Well, in his Mariners debut, Zach Duke gives up the first home run he has surrendered this year, and it comes to a lefty, no less.
And Scott Service out at the dugout. Jason Bradford getting loose in the pen.
Now a 3-run lead for the Astros.
Trying to get that breaking ball to the outside part of the plate, and it stays down and in to Reddick. Right where the lefty likes it.
We have a pitching change. Astros have the lead.
Record of 2.75 ERA. 30 strikeouts, over 8 walks. Opponent's hitting 221. Against Jason, fastball in the low 90s with a slider.
And to show you how much of a rarity that was, what we just saw, that's the second time since the start of 2016 that a left-hander has homered off of Zach Duke. Well, it does not happen often at all.
No. I'd say not.
And we talked about the soft contact, right? How we saw that in the base hit by Tucker. It wasn't exactly smoked out to left field. So the first home run allowed in total this season by Duke. Pulled foul. Nothing to 2 on Bregman. Popped out a play foul and a broken bat. Now, a lot of people like to make the Dustin Pedroia comp with Bregman from the standpoint of, well, they have similar stature for one thing. They're both immense baseball rats, right? There are stories of Pedroia coming to Fenway Park in the morning before a night game, taking swings in the cage, going back to his house near the ballpark, grabbing a bite to eat, and then coming back to the ballpark when the rest of the guys show up. There are similar stories to that with Bregman, especially in college. When he was at LSU, they have a incredible ballpark in Baton Rouge for the Tigers, and there are stories of his college coach giving him the keys to the ballpark, and at midnight the lights being on inside the park, and it is Bregman doing whatever, hitting off the tee like D. Gordon did with the sprinklers on at midnight and 12:30 in the morning. Speaking of D. Gordon, can't hold on. Bregman on base for the 3rd time tonight, a base hit. And I asked Bregman about the whole lights on at midnight thing.
Yes.
Because these are one of these things that, like, somebody says that happened because, oh, he's the type of guy who would have the lights on at midnight. No, he said it happened. He had a key to the LSU ballpark. This was a real thing, and one of the most heralded college players in his draft class.
And the same thing in Minnesota. No problem there.
With a shovel in one hand. 1-0.
How did you know, Blow?
Well, we were expecting to see Yuli's brother beginning Thursday night. Lourdes Gurriel plays for the Blue Jays. Looks like he is landing on the disabled list. He suffered like either a knee or an ankle injury rounding the bases, which is a good thing for the Mariners because Lourdes Gurriel had a streak of 11 consecutive multi-hit games before that injury. Well, most guys would love to have an 11-game hit streak, let alone get 2 hits or more in each of those 11 games.
Is he playing shortstop?
The last game he was at second, but he's played around a little bit.
Yeah.
Fouled off the hands, 1-2. Well, the last guy to do that, Hall of Famer Tony Perez, did the same thing 11 games as it turned out for Perez, each time with at least 2 hits. That was back in 1973. Check swing. 2-2. Bregman taking off. This is throttled to left field. Span in front of the track. Ball really started to die. Gurriel flies to left for out number 2.
Pretty good pitch from Chasen. Good fastball right on the inside corner. Jammed him just enough.
Trying to work him inside that pretty much that whole at bat, and finally got one in there that Gurriel hacked at, but wasn't able to get his arms extended.
Gaddis, a 2-run home run back in the 6th inning. It's away from Herman. Bregman winds up at second. And now Herman out to the mound to have a chat.
That will be a wild pitch and probably going over the signs.
Hard to tell if that's a cross up. Would be odd with a runner just at first base, but it really kind of looked like it took Herman by surprise.
Ball and a strike to Gaddis. Now this inning changed dramatically with Reddick's home run. Mariners were within 1 at that point, but with 1 out, Tucker the single, Reddick the homer. Bregman an infield base hit. Now it's second on the wild pitch. 2 outs. Into left field. Bregman being held at third. Span gets to it in shallow left. Four hits in this 9th inning for Houston.
That will bring up Gonzalez, a switch hitter. Plenty of time for Rondon out in the bullpen. Just pacing himself now.
Bregman at third, Gaddis at first. Now Herman able to keep that in his glove somehow. Manfred ahead now 1-2. Alex Cintron, the first base coach for the Astros, making some friends over there. Swing and a miss for strike 3, and that ends the top of the ninth. 2 runs due cross on Reddick's blast. Mariners down to their final 3 outs.
With you here at the Ford Sports Desk. Mariners running out of time to tie this game up. Meantime, we take a look at our Where I Root photos. That's the hashtag to use, presented by Alaska Airlines. Marcos is checking in from 10,000 feet above sea level. He's in Colombia. Then we've got Jim, who's not here in Seattle, but no, he's there in Houston, but repping the Mariners on the stadium tour. And finally, we have the Trudnowskis, who are cheering on the Mariners from Acadia National Park in Bar Harbor, Maine. Continue to use that hashtag Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. We'll try to get your photos on the air. Just a gentle reminder, when you use that hashtag, it does give us permission to use your photos on the air. Guys?
Angie, I believe it's Bahama, as Rondon will pitch the bottom of the ninth.
40 appearances, a 2.41 ERA, 9 saves on the year, 47 strikeouts, over 11 walks. Opponents hitting .225 against him. He's given up a couple of home runs. Good arm. His average fastball 97 miles an hour and a slider.
Pretty bizarre splits for Rondon this year, guys. He has given up 10 earned runs this year. They have all been at home. He has not given up a run on the road. I mean, forget earned run, just a run period. He's made 19 appearances away from Minute Maid Park, and they have all been scoreless.
That's interesting, because although it's a hitter's park, you would think he'd be more comfortable on his own mound.
Right.
Yeah.
The way he prepares and gets ready in their bullpen, all those different things that he's familiar with.
The creature comforts.
Yeah.
Yep. Kind of goes along with the fact that the Astros have the best road record, though, in baseball.
Well, when your late inning relievers pitch very well on the road, it's probably a pretty big ingredient. Of course, Ken Giles began the season as the closer. He is now a member of the Blue Jays organization. Two and two on Haniger.
A lot of life to that fastball. 97 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's one thing to have 97, 98 in your repertoire, but to have life on it as well.
And what do you mean by life, Dan?
Just something about it that just gets on you. Either late movement, just explodes out of your hand. I guess they would talk about spin rates.
Reddick puts it away in right field, one down. Here's the catcher, Chris Herman, with one down. Old pitching coach for the Mariners, Rick Waits, once talked about the difference between movement and life on a pitch. And he referred to it as movement being something that you are intentionally doing with a desired end result. Right? You are manipulating the pitch to do X, Y, or Z. Whereas life, he said, it's just alive. That's only the singing lefty Rick Waits could do. And you don't exactly know what the end result will be, but it will have some type of movement to it that has some type of explosion or whatever the buzzword you want to use is. It just does something a little extra at the very end. Shift on for Herman with one down. 2 outs left for the Mariners. Full count. Haley, the man on deck, 0 for 3 tonight. With the shift on, Marwin Gonzalez. 2 outs. I would say, guys, if you are a big league general manager or manager and you lose your closer for whatever reason over the course of the season, Rondon is a pretty good plan B.
Just a great arm, 97, 98, pretty good slider. Yeah, I would say that's probably correct.
Did not look like it missed by much. Healy now ahead 2-0. The final hope to keep this inning alive for the Mariners, this game as well. Wow. Barely missing.
Keeping that ball at the bottom of the strike zone too, just missing.
A's winning. Mariners 2 games ahead of Oakland entering tonight, so a 2-game advantage in jeopardy here. Now full.
It's going right at him with the fastball. Everything down.
Gamble would be next. Reddick in right field, near the line, and that's the ball game. This series is tied a game apiece.
We thought it would be a tough series, and it has been. A lot of really good pitching so far the first 2 days, and then we're going to see some more tomorrow. But hopefully Wade LeBlanc will be a little bit better than Dallas Keuchel, but an opportunity to win the series.
Yeah, absolutely good pitching tonight, and just a couple of home runs for Houston. Really the difference. A couple of 2-run homers, and the Mariners not able to get anything else going on offense. But some good pitching in this series probably continues tomorrow.
Danny, despite the final score, great having you.
Aaron, it's always a pleasure to be with you.
There he is, Mariners Hall of Famer Dan Wilson. Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines begins right now with Bill and Brad.
Well, Aaron, thank you very much. Number 22, Reddick, the guy who kind of nailed in the coffin, 9th inning home run there. The Astros, their 5-game losing streak, Bill, is now over. They lose another All-Star, George Springer, going out. We'll hopefully update you on that one, but they don't lose this game here tonight.
No, I mean, it's been a lot of attrition. You lose a couple of superstars like Correa and Altuve, and then Springer goes down. But when it really comes down to it, if you've got great pitching, and they had it tonight, and Charlie Morton in a good bullpen finish. So the Astros, they didn't get there by one guy or two guys. They got a collective team that's good.
Good point, and we'll talk more on Morton. Just a little bit better than Leak tonight, but your first local forward, keys to the game, was the offense. An ace last night in Cole, an ace tonight in Morton. How do you get him out of the game?
Kind of the same formula was what the Mariners were hoping for. They knew this guy was going to be tough, and he was. Ball's leaping out of his hand, 97 miles an hour with a nasty hook. So they had to come up with something, and what did they do? They got it going to that 6th inning again. You get Segura to scratch one in, and a little bleeder by Denard Span, who hits good pitching. He had a triple earlier in the game against Charlie Morton, and then the stage is set. Not so much. Nasty spinner, Cruz goes down, and then for good measure, after Haniger drives in a run, which was, giving you somewhat hope, gets it back to 3-2. Kind of a big hit for Haniger right there. He's been a little bit quiet. Segura scores, and then Herman just can't do much with Charlie Morton. Hard 97 on the hands, and that ended the hope there. 8 strikeouts through 6. Charlie Morton, much like Garrett Cole, a terrific pitcher, an all-star level pitcher, and to their credit, getting both those guys from the Pirates and turning them around, pretty spectacular.
Yeah, with Morton getting the win tonight, now 12-2. Rondon the save there, 5-2. The Astros take game 2 of the set. The Mariners now 4 back in the West. We'll update you on the AL West standings. There was some good defense played, at least a couple of good plays by the Mariners, no doubt. How about this one? Houston already 1 run in. Reddick trying to steal the 5th. Herman, not even close. Great throw, tagged by Gordon, ends the inning. With the Astros with 15 hits, they end their 5-game losing streak. We'll have more reaction for you tonight from Safeco Field on Mariners postgame, presented by Alaska Airlines.